Welcome to AI Trust Talks. This season is special. We're launching the Road to SAP Connect 2026, which is a series of conversations exploring what it truly means to build connected, intelligent, and trusted enterprises in the age of AI. At AI Trust Talks, we believe that technology alone doesn't transform organizations, people do. AI is powerful, but power without trust is fragile. That's why this partnership matters. SAP Connect 2026 is more than an event. It's a moment. It's a platform where leaders, partners, innovators, policymakers, and technologists come together to explore how AI can strengthen connection across industries, ecosystems, and generations. Our mission at AI Trust Talks has always been clear: to elevate the conversation around AI beyond the hype and toward responsibility, collaboration, and meaningful impact. We believe human and AI connection must coexist. Collaboration accelerates safe and responsible innovation, and everyone should have a voice in shaping how AI evolves. AI is not being built in isolation. It's being built by people across enterprises, governments, and communities. And bringing those conversations to the forefront with the leaders delivering real-world impact is exactly where we want to take AI Trust Talks. This is the road to SAP Connect 2026. Let's begin. Sergio, thank you so much for joining us on AI Trust Talks.
Thank you to you, Emma.
As we are on the journey towards SAP Connect 2026.
It's becoming exciting.
It is. It's not too far away. And I'm really glad that we could have this conversation today to really build the story as to what we're trying to achieve with SAP Connect and how we're going to go on that journey. So to start us off, you've had vast experiences in this region, and we've just been chatting off air about what that is. Would you mind giving us a bit of a background about you and where you've come from and your expertise that you're driving today?
I think that it's obvious that I'm coming from Italy. I'm Italian. Indeed, and I cannot shake the accent out from my English. I moved here, I landed the first time in September 2002, and I saw the opportunity of something that was unique. I've been working in the IT for the past almost 40 years. I was by the time working in the south part of the EMEA region, but mainly in the Mediterranean area. So Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece. I led Greece for a couple of years. But then here something unique was starting happening. Companies were demanding expertise, they were accelerating, and they were trying to avoid any of the potential errors that have happened while adopting IT or modernizing companies in the Western world, doing it very much faster here. So this fascinated me. I decided to move stable here in 2006, and I've been happily living in the UAE for so many years.
It's an incredible place.
20 years.
Yeah.
My God, time flies.
It sure does, especially in this region. Things happen so quickly. With that vantage point, you've seen firsthand how fast enterprises' expectations are changing, if I could put it that way. So today I really want us to explore around how leaders can leverage that and really start to build their own organizations out. So to ease us into this, I'd love to start with the moment we're in today and where today is going. Everywhere we look, boards, CEOs, senior leaders, they're all talking about AI.
Yeah.
As if it's a once-in-a-generation shift. When you look across the region and to your global peers as well, does it feel like we're at a true AI inflection point?
I would not call it an inflection point. Normally an inflection point in maths, it's showing a topping of the previous curve and then a change or an acceleration of the growth. To be honest with you, since AI touched the ground 3 years ago, 4 years ago, in a real way, I never saw any flex of the growth curve. On the contrary, by speaking with companies and by speaking with customers, I see that there is a constant appetite, a constant curiosity, and an increase of dedicated budget. As of today, I see that almost 60% of the companies are increasing in 2026 AI dedicated budget versus what they have accrued in 2025 or the years before. So I don't really see an inflection point due to the slowdown of previous growth. There are several elements that we can discuss on what is happening in terms of transformation. So first of all, companies have started in the past with POCs. Again, I saw plenty of companies, almost 70% of the customers I'm talking, they are somehow doing some testing, some POCs. But in the past, it has came clear that not any of the POCs it's really able to demonstrate the value that was expected. I was speaking last year with IDC, and they are rating that almost 60% of the POCs that have been launched with great fanfare, they have been abandoned without any results. And still today, only 1 out of 4 companies, as per McKinsey, it's able to really claim that the POC or the AI case that they have embraced is producing a real return. So in such a world, companies are starting demanding something different. They don't want to test the water anymore. They want to test use cases. They want to see examples. They want to speak with peers in order to see how they can, again, as we were saying before, jump this transformation or testing period and go directly into the return. Everybody wants to have a return. And it's indeed clear that AI, when it's properly used and adopted, can produce value returns. What am I seeing is companies are starting demanding, instead of embracing or going for a journey of testing, use cases that they can switch on with a much lower development impact, but producing returns immediately. And here we come to the concept of embedded AI. And during the SAP Connect, I hope that the customers will be able to see how SAP is embracing the part of the embedded AI. So for us, AI, it's available in any of the applications that we are providing to our customers. And they can pick up and choose among hundreds of use cases already embedded and working in order to start automating, to start accelerating execution and bring immediate return. But there is, and you are pretty right, a moment of transformation. So instead of an inflection point, what we are seeing is a transformation of the demand of our customers. From embedded AI and use cases that can improve efficiency, what am I starting seeing more and more is the concept of autonomous ERPs. There is the concept of AI agents or AI assistants. They are starting collaborating together in order to execute and to develop results on complex tasks. It's not only anymore a simple automation or a suggestion to the user, but it's relieving the users from large part of what is repetitive or giving them the right piece of information in order to automate or take a decision in a much more efficient way. And that's the biggest transformation that I'm seeing.
That was a lot of content and absolutely incredible. And I want to pick out a couple of things you've mentioned there. You talk about POCs. I agree. A lot of organizations are testing the waters. They're developing some POCs, seeing if it's really there or not. I get a lot of people saying to me, well, how can I use AI? What's a good use case for it? And it's the point where you say any idea can be AI. Anything you want to improve, you could use AI to do that if it's going to be the right tool. But actually going back to what is the core business problem you're trying to solve for, it may or may not be AI. And just going to the embedded AI point is organizations want to be a AI native organization, if I could put it that way, which is great. And there's going to be some advantages and successful use cases of it. But actually embedding it into their ecosystem is where organizations will find the true value. And I think I've experienced sort of some of the tools that SAP are using. And it's fantastic that it is taking that approach. If we talk about the AI native way, and you've worked with a number of organizations that are in this space right now, what's the real difference between how they think, operate, and really execute?
Let's probably clarify what the expectations are. And you mentioned again that a number of POCs were not successful. There is an easy belief that you can simply move the data outside of their contextualization, operate with the AI tools, with the cases that you have implemented them, and then generate results. Now, if it's true on a very narrow specification, remember that whenever you're bringing a business data outside of the contextualization, it's just a number, it's just a data. I'll make an example. If you take an invoice is a piece of paper, but In business, it's having the information on the customer, it's having the information on the discount, it's having the information on delivery, on the margins. And all of this information are contextualized within a business system. So the ones that are using best are the ones that they are not separating the data from the business system, but opting to use something that it's absolutely integrated in the system.
And getting that value from the data itself and leveraging that data. So a lot of boards and senior leaders are under pressure to adopt AI, whether it's their stakeholders, their investors, really asking, what are you doing as an organization to adopt AI? Some don't know what good really does look like in an AI native way. How should organizations be thinking about capability and readiness in the age of AI?
In the leadership, there are five elements that are quite important in order to adopt properly support from AI. First of all, as we said before, instead of testing on a POC that it's separated from your business, you need to start thinking AI as an embedded tool in your business. You cannot separate it. The example of before, when we were discussing about what an invoice is representing and how many correlated data you have, it's clear that you cannot separate an invoice outside of your business system, basically outside of the ERP. Then you need to have executive sponsorship when you are implementing a new case or you decide how to adopt AI. But there is one element that it's very much fundamental. It's clear data. If you don't have clear data, again, the AI is based on pure data. If this is not valid, what you get out, it's I don't want to reach the concept of the hallucination, but it's definitely not the results that you want to have. AI has to be business oriented. So whenever you are selecting use cases, they have to be driven more from the pure business requirement than from a nice to have or an embellishment. And the last element is you need to put a solid governance in order to look at what you want to achieve from the application of the AI.
I want to touch on this a bit about governance. A lot of organizations, or maybe business leaders even, may perceive governance as like a checkbox exercise or a black box exercise, whereas what we're trying to drive the messaging around is, how do you leverage governance as an enabler to innovation? How can you drive successful innovation by leveraging the governance arm? Have you had some experience around balancing the need for governance, the need to do the right thing, over the business impact or the business drive of what they want to achieve?
Governance is multi-phased. First of all, is enable users to properly use AI, to ask the right questions. But it's also governance in terms of data, as we were saying before. What we have realized, working with thousands of customers, is they have applications, and SAP is leading in providing business application to our customers. They have definitely a massive amount of data managed from these applications, and the combination of the two is where the AI is creating the solid results. Now the problem is, normally in an organization, you don't have only SAP application, but you have data that are provided by other legacy applications or even non-structured data. We have released Business Data Cloud. Business Data Cloud gives the customer the opportunity to create a semantically organized layer with data that are coming from SAP system, structured data coming from non-SAP system, and non-structured data. But there is zero duplication of the data. So the data are part of the application themselves. And here is where the governance of not moving the data, it's creating the absolute value for the AI to produce proper results.
That's a really good point, and it's going back to that interconnected ecosystem and systems together to help drive that right change. For leaders themselves, what do you think are some of the mindset shifts that are starting to become non-negotiable in the age of AI?
I think that the biggest mindset shift is in the past we were driven by KPIs. So we were creating a sort of a framework of KPIs across which we were measuring the performance of our organization. As of today, AI is managing the KPIs. What we have to do is managing the process and making sure that the questions that we are asking at the AI are the right one. And then we can get the proper value.
Yeah.
In an autonomous organization, in an autonomous ERP, when you have multiple agents that are taking the data, they are collaborating together in order to produce the result, you need to make sure that the process is the right one.
That's spot on, that people forget how important those processes you have in your organization need to really feed into the overall bigger picture. So we've talked about the present. If we were to fast forward into 2030, what do you think feels completely obvious in hindsight?
Difficult to forecast the future. If you have seen what has happened in the past, not talking 20 years, I'm just talking about 2 years, 3 years in terms of acceleration. 2030, it's 4 years from now. I can't even imagine how things are. But by reading a bit how the market is moving, we've discussed before in terms of additional budget that companies are dedicating to implementation of AI. So it's difficult, as I said before, to forecast the future. Pure application of embedded AI. What I do see is the demand of agentic AI and autonomous agents that they are supporting. And in reality, there are research that are saying that the spending of the 40 billion in 2024 on autonomous enterprise, it's going to be 3 times bigger by 2030.
Wow.
So if this research are true, that gives you the insight of what is going to happen. Now, if the research is true or not, I don't know. But I for sure know that any customer that I'm meeting, any CIO or CEO that I'm meeting, they are asking us, we need to automate our processes. We need to simplify the way in which we consume responses from your systems, and we need to automate them in order to become much more efficient. And here, the big question mark comes, what are we doing with people? One of the biggest fears is AI replacing the job of people. No, it's augmenting the job of people. And this is also what leaders have to understand. What does it mean? Yes, as of today, if I continue doing the same things, I can use less people to do the same things. But there is no organization that can survive continually doing the same things. So everybody wants to do more and wants to do it more efficiently. And there is no possibility to continue growing our workforce, our expenditure. We need to become way more efficient. And here it is the vastest contribution that AI can give to the organization.
Yeah, this is such a valid point and very topical in today's world, that whole job displacement point. And I always say to organizations, if your AI strategy is purely just job displacement, it's a little bit, could be short-sighted for the overall picture. And yes, we want those efficiencies, but when we get those efficiency gains because we automate our processes, how can we then augment the humans so the organization can overall do more and build more business in future as well? Let's move from kind of the bigger picture to the actual operational layer. We often talk about shift in systems of record, and when we talk about databases and data that we have, to systems of action. In your words, what does that shift really mean for how organizations should run?
That's exactly the concept of the autonomous ERP that we are providing to our customers. So it's not anymore a system that it's reactive, but a system that becomes proactive. And again, coming back to the discussion of the augmentation of the workforce, it's becoming proactive in suggesting the best possible course of decision, or it's becoming proactive in already resolving easy or medium complexity cases, absolutely without the intervention, the human intervention. And that's the value that you might see.
When AI really does start to drive that execution, not just the insight that we've sort of traditionally seen it do, how does that change the speed and the rhythm of the business?
There is no limit to this. And that's the fascinating part. When I'm using AI tools, the level of productivity that I'm having does not have any limit anymore. And when you think that you can do things in parallel, using multiple tools in parallel, that's the augmentation that you can get from this.
As systems do act more autonomously, like we've been talking about, what safeguards and disciplines become really essential in this space?
I would say that the most important is consistency of the data. Never implement AI tools or agents or autonomous ERP if you are not sure that you have a clean core and you have your data properly contextualized and clean. Because otherwise what you get out, it's not credible and run the risk to create errors. Do you know that one of the transformation of the insurance market is how to insure companies against errors produced by AI? A human error can cascade, can proliferate issues. An AI error does this at a speed that creates huge issues before it's realized and stopped. So insurance start transforming the way in which they provide security to companies and limiting their liabilities due to this. So that's exactly the point of making sure that your AI, your agents are acting on something that is undisputable.
This is a very good point, and actually you're the first person recently that has raised this point. We've seen insurance policies for cybersecurity attacks, for data loss, data protection type thing. And you're right, insurance companies are now considering policies for AI systems, either ensuring the development of that system or the loss or the reputational risk that might come about because of the output of that particular system.
Yep.
So I'm pleased to hear that these conversations really are starting to take place.
And IT companies are putting a lot of efforts in terms of data security, sovereignty, avoiding to have leakage of data in any form. And this is probably the biggest concern that everybody in the market has as of today. But we are not yet used to the concept of what could potentially happen if AI takes wrong decisions on our behalf and does it in an autonomous way.
And where do you think accountability should sit in that aspect? So when we're talking about agents, we're talking about agentic AI. Should accountability be on the individual agent? And then where in the organization should accountability sit if something does go wrong?
Majority of the accountability is in the wrong design of the AI process, because you cannot think that an agent is responsible. It's the way in which it has been designed and it has been integrated that creates the issue. So it's the designer and it's the process owner that it's ultimately responsible.
We're seeing organizations onboard agents as if they're an employee, giving them a employee ID, and be quite interesting performance reviews in future, right?
There is this dream. Oh my God, I will have agents that they can go to the beach. By the way, the beaches here in Dubai are so beautiful.
Yeah.
Everybody dreams to do this. But let me be clear, agents at the end are applications. And applications are developed, they are consuming data, and they need to have consistency on the data that they are consuming.
Yeah. And that human might be sitting on the beach, but they should also be controlling their agent to a degree and checking the outputs, etc. So what does embedded discipline look like in practice? Are we controlling or applying controls to that one system, or is it in the development stage? Is it in the ongoing monitoring? Where are you seeing the most controls applied?
In the design phase. Development is becoming more and more automated and facilitated from AI itself. One of the areas of proliferation of automation is developing code.
Yeah.
Low touch, no code, low code. The design is the most important part. And again, the models that you're using in order to treat your data. Now, the good part is the models are becoming more and more precise. We are talking about 98% of predictability and precision on the latest LLMs. But still, it's statistical. That's the reason why statistically you have to ensure that you control your data.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to ask an LLM to count the number of words of a document?
Yes. Yeah.
It's an easy exercise. You do it in Word and comes with a number that is exactly the sharp number of the words that the document has. You do it on an LLM and you get an answer with 4% of statistical error. The reason is Word makes the real mathematical count. The LLM does a statistical. So when I construct a sentence, predicts what the sentence contains as the number of words. Hence, the results, it's not 100% accurate. Would you put your business in something that it's not giving you an accurate result? That's the risk.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think there's a varied level of risk acceptance you might take, but it really depends what the purpose is, right? If we're in a medical situation or in a real key scenario, you may not always want to take that particular risk.
And that's probably also the reason why we will not be replaced by AI. And I'm a believer of this.
Good.
If I'm looking at the story, come on, all of the industrial revolution, digital revolution, and so on, they were seen as the end of the workers and the drama. While on the contrary, it has been an improvement of our productivity, our efficiency, but at the end did not cut jobs. Create different jobs. The flexibility is the most important part.
And for humans to be flexible as well in their own upskilling and reskilling.
It's not an easy job, I agree. But as Darwin was saying, it's not the strongest that will survive, but it's the most flexible, the most agile.
Yeah, exactly. We don't just talk about agile systems, we talk about agile people as well. So you've led through various different waves of transformation. Do you think this one feels different?
Yes, I feel, first of all, the speed. It's different. As we open with the speed of transformation, it's mind-blowing. What we can do today with AI tools or we can automate was unthinkable just probably 12 months ago. And if you think with the speed with which this has come into our business, it's exponential. So the 12 months of the past are probably going to be 3 months in the future. So in 1 year from now, we will see 3-4 cycles of developments and innovation.
It's incredible. And I think we just see how organizations trying to just keep up with not only their own business processes and driving day-to-day business, but also keeping up with what's happening in the world of technology and actually riding that wave where it is necessary to support the business as well.
And there is a lot of expectation that technology can be a miracle. What we at SAP see more is not the technology itself, but it's the concept of the business process behind. It's the concept and the competence on the industry that it's using the business process that gives really the difference. The technology is an enabler today.
And how do you think leadership themselves need to really evolve as these intelligent systems really start becoming the part of the fabric of what we're actually trying to achieve?
The most critical aspect is how do you deal with your teams, with your people? How do you select your talents? How do you protect your talents versus being burned out? Hypothetically, be replaced by thinking that they can be replaced by a tool. So that's probably the first focus that leaders have to have. Second focus is how to select where to apply AI and how to automate your system. One of the 5 elements of leaders that are going to be successful and they can count of having a strong return on investments in AI is select business-related cases, put the right governance, and apply them on the right data.
And we've talked about upskilling and reskilling. What do you think is a really key executive skill to have and that will rise in value in the age of AI?
The flexibility, being agile and open to transformation. Don't think that you are immune to what is happening in the market. Don't think that, come on, I've been successful for the past 30 years. I can continue being successful. That's the biggest error that a leader can possibly do.
Yeah. We've talked a bit about speed as well. Do you think speed and responsibility can actually coexist, or is it still a tension?
They have to. If you are not fast enough, you are disposed. If you are not responsible, you are jailed. So you don't want to be either or.
Yeah. And I want us to touch a bit on trust. How should leaders think about measuring trust in a whole AI-enabled organization when you may have traditional methods of trust and building trust with your clients? How do you build that in an AI-enabled world?
There are 2 types of trust. The first trust is on the response that the system is giving to you. And as we said before, if the data in are realistic, you have a trustable response. Second is in the response that you're giving to your customer. And that cannot be completely automated have still to be supported by the human being. And that's the reason why I don't see AI as an ultimate killer of us as workforce.
That's a really good point, a nice way to break up the two different sides of trust. Would I be correct to say you've always been a great supporter of connected ecosystems?
It is in the DNA of SAP. Since our inception, we decided to develop the best IT application and solution, but in order to deliver them to the customers, we have always built a strong ecosystem, a strong partnership, believing that this is the best and most scalable way in order to go. And it has been demonstrated right.
Yeah, it definitely has been a very successful move. From your experience with why is cross-industry collaboration becoming so important now when we talk about partnerships, when we talk about players in the space of their industry?
Because today there is not anymore, the world has changed completely. So there is not anymore a relationship of one-to-one. How many potential offers or look, you don't have any limit anymore. You enter in the internet and can shop in the farthest and smallest place in the world, or in the corner shop that it's just behind you. You don't even know where the service or the response to your query comes from. So while before you were confined to your space or your reachability, as of today you have unlimited access to everything. Hence, the collaboration becomes much more important. And it's starting from the logistics, it's starting from how do I reach my customers, how do I leverage on different services and different partnerships in order to provide the slice of the value that I can offer to my customer in the right way and in the fastest possible way.
And just to that point, if you imagine the C-suite agenda of customers and clients going forward, we're a couple of months into 2026. What conversations do you think are going to really dominate the rest of the year?
What is the future? Where the future is bringing us as a customer? What is the role of IT providing to us as a customer, and how I can leverage it? These are the biggest questions that I'm expecting in 2026. In the past, we saw the transformation of the market around 2020, 2021. We saw the transformation of the cloud wave. As of today, cloud, it's given. Nobody is questioning, should I go on-premise or should I go cloud? In the past 2 years, there was a lot of skepticism on security, on sovereignty. I do start believing or feeling by talking to customers that this also it's well settled now. But the next question is how fast is the application transforming themselves, and what can we expect?
Yeah. I think there's big changes to see even for the rest of the year and some transformation that will really help support the road and journey ahead for organizations. What does resilience look like when it's built through connected ecosystems rather than just through isolated organizations?
Monitoring the relationships. It's easy to start thinking with this partnership, with this ecosystem, I'm resolving a complex question, a complex process. And then leaving it by itself. Monitoring the relationships in a holistic way, beyond the walls of your organization, becomes important.
Yeah.
And that's also why we discuss a lot at SAP about business network, more than your internal processes that are expanding and are monitored outside of your four walls.
So we still need those humans, right?
Always. I'm a believer on this. It cannot be anything different. Come on.
And in your view, what does it really mean to be a connected enterprise today?
The smartest connected enterprise is the one that can select the value from the partnership and leveraging it.
Yeah.
When the partnership is not providing the right value, being able to shake it. So again, dynamism, agility are the elements that are becoming much more important. You don't need to control only the agility and the ability to transform of your own organization, but where to rely your processes outside of your organization in the most effective way, and what is happening in the world in terms of tariffs, in terms of shifting. Look at the automotive. How many Chinese cars do you see on the streets today here in Dubai?
Huge.
Where were they in 2024?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about 2020. I'm just talking 12 months ago.
Yeah. It's incredible.
And if you are not fast enough in reassessing your connections and your business network, you might be wiped out at a speed that was unimaginable 5-10 years ago.
Yeah. That's such a valid point, actually, and just the example you give around the cars and the different types of cars that have risen, certainly in the UAE, and that connectivity and the ecosystem that has helped bring them to the country. So we have a signature closing question on AI Trust Talks. This one is very relevant on our road to SAP Connect 2026. As AI becomes more embedded in how we work, what does connection really mean to you in the age of AI, and how can we strengthen it together as we go towards 2030?
Connection means looking at the value and looking at the example. We are in such a fast-moving world that taking the time to design and reinvent from scratch is not an option. And the reason why SAP has renamed it in SAP Connect is because we are fostering this type of peer-to-peer connection on the same industry, on the same problematics, in order to get the best and create this type of business network that we were discussing before. That's an occasion in which you can really come and not only look from a vendor side what the market is offering to you, but you can listen customers, you can listen organizations that are pretty similar to you, and they have already adopted or aroused the question or transformed themselves. So you can take examples, modifying in order to suit your specific requirements and avoid to make errors.
I love that, really learning from others and taking what others have done and seeing how you can apply that to your own organization. Or
And you see it, it's not obviously the first SAP Connect, but you see it on the floor. The amount of talks that are happening, it's way more valuable and insightful than simply listening on a keynote or a presentation.
Sergio, thank you so much for joining us on AI Trust Talks.
It has been fascinating.
I look forward to the real day on SAP Connect.
I look forward to host you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.